Hey, as nobody told me with Mike and Blaine, this is episode number 71. 71, man. We are coming up. This is the last one of the year. We didn't make 72. But I'm Mike Milan, also known as Cash Flow Mike, and that is my partner, Blaine Birch. Blaine, what's going on, man?
Man, big 71. We snuck it in. We're December 29th. That's the day we're recording. So, yeah, we're almost at New Year's Eve here. So, great to get. Well, I didn't even know if we'd make 70. Now we're at 71. So, that's a really cool way to end off the year here.
Yeah, right on. So, hey, if you can't tell, I'm like in an echo chamber. It feels like really hollow, right? Because I've been getting rid of some of the older furniture. Courtney decided to redo my whole office. Right? So now it feels and sounds empty. It's so weird. I got everything off the walls. I got just the furniture gone.
Well, it looks great. It is a little echoey. I don't know if I sound that echoey because I just got a bunch of junk in here, but we have to get you some of those like pro soundproofing pillows and stuff or something.
Oh yeah, maybe if I get closer to the mic like this.
Whatever works, man.
Yeah. So I picked right before here. I picked one. Lane doesn't know what the topic's going to be today. But before I tell him, I want to know what he's drinking.
So I had one of these a couple of weeks ago and I really liked it. So I wanted to, and I love the can. It's called Virtual Playground, and it's got like Space Invaders on the front.
Yeah.
So it's super nostalgic, like retro-y, kind of what do you call bit art sort of style design. And it's a Doppelbock, so it's twice as much Bock as the usual Bock, and it's from Nost and Ellipsis. So it's a collab between these two breweries, and I've never tried either brewery before except for this one time. And so really cool to feature two new breweries in one. So it's like double Bock, double brewery.
Got it. Right on. So I found another Texas brewery, one out of Houston. Houston,
Nice.
not Houston, right? One out of Houston. It's called Lay the Day. And it's a collaboration. I know you've done a few collaborations, but this one's SpindleTap out of Houston, and then Maui Brewing Company, which is the largest brewing company in Hawaii, and it's got passion fruit and sea salt, and I think
Nice.
it's kind of a light beach type beer is what I'm expecting here.
Nice. That's what. So we actually have four breweries. It's funny how sometimes we match up and do the same thing. So we're going to have like feature four breweries in our last episode of the year here. So that's kind of fun.
And if you remember, we've always had a rule where we try to do different breweries. Now we said we're going to adjust the rule for 2023, where we can do the same brewery, not the same beer, right?
Yes.
So kind of what I did with Rough House Ale, which means they provided me with four different beers. I featured a brand new beer of theirs for 4 weeks straight. So that's an indication for you out there. If you are a local brewer and you want to sponsor the show, put it in Blaine's hands down in Scottsdale right now, or my hands right here in San Antonio, and you will have exclusive, featured beer every day or every week for a month.
Exactly. And there's some breweries in town here that I haven't featured yet, that I've been going to. This one, Goldwater in South Scottsdale, not South Scottsdale, centrally Scottsdale. It is a terrific brewery, and I think the only place you can get their beer is at the brewery. And so I hadn't really discovered their beer till just recently, and now it's becoming like a weekly visit on our bikes because they have a couple new beer every week, and it's outstanding. So I'm gonna have to pick a can or two up from there, and I'm gonna feature them on an upcoming episode because it was really good. Terrific beer, really good brewery.
So I just tried this Lay the Day, right? And I was surprised right off the bat because I was expecting kind of like a fruity lager. This verges on a sour.
Okay.
Right? It has that, that kind of back of the throat, kind of like a little bit of bitterness there. So it verges on a sour. It's got a lot of fruit up front and then kind of that sour aftertaste.
Okay. Okay, a little bit of a side note here. I don't know if we have any Australian listeners, but we had our Christmas meal next door at our neighbors. We have it every year, different theme every year. This year was Australia. So we got a recipe for an Australian dessert from a friend of ours in Australia, and we made it and all that. Everybody cooked all these different things. And then one of the guys brought something called Vegemite.
Yeah,
And
it's terrible.
apparently it's an Australian thing. And I'll try anything, right? Like I'll taste anything. I have to say, this is the first time I have tried a food and thought, I don't know how they sell to anybody, how it exists, because it seems like OXO cubes that you make like broth out of, kind of like that, in dark brown paste form, ultra salty, kind of beefy, but it has a really sour aftertaste. There's nothing good about this. So I don't know if one of you guys can tell me what Vegemite is about and why it's on the shelf, even like how somebody bought it. That's not a joke. I'm really curious to hear, because man, I can't even say it's an acquired taste. I looked at it, I cannot acquire that. It was weird.
All right, so here's what's funny is that I first learned about Vegemite back in 1980. I'm going to say five, maybe before that. Whenever Men Without Hats and Safety Dance came out.
Okay, gotcha.
Because he was eating a Vegemite sandwich, right?
Okay.
But I never knew what it was. You were the first person, I'm going to say, in 30 plus years to be able to give me a signature of taste, which is it's salty. Right? So I had no idea. I've just heard people say it's terrible. I didn't know it was salty.
And sour. Like,
and
how do you go from really salty to really sour with this weird beef-like flavor? And you know what? It was pretty much universal through the house. Anyone that tried it, there were a couple of dry heaves. And like nobody could really get this. I actually had to play dumb and say it was terrific to get one guy to taste it, and then he just was like, "This is disgusting." I'm like, yeah, I know, it's awful. Like, it's just terrible. Just a mystery to me, a mystery.
Yeah, that's the old smell this trick you gave me.
Exactly.
Oh, that's terrible. Oh, that's funny. All right, so tell me again, are your neighbors? Are they Australian, or was that just the theme?
We do a different theme every single year. So I'm trying to think of what countries we've done. I think we've done I think we did France a couple of years ago. I think we did Norway one year or something. So every year they just pick a country, and then we all go home and do a bunch of research and then cook something. They were going to bring in some kangaroo, but then found out it was like $100 just to get the stuff mailed here. And we're like, yeah, that's not like that interesting to try kangaroo. So we didn't have kangaroo, but amazing, super fun. And nobody knows what they're doing when they're cooking it every year, because it's always some other place. So it's been lots of fun. And this was a good one. This was a really good one.
All right. So we did, she came up with over Christmas here, like a crazy holiday game thing for the whole family. I mean, one of them was candy cane sushi, right? So think about using candy canes as chopsticks.
Okay.
Picking up as many marshmallows as you can with these candy canes as chopsticks and putting them into a bowl, right? And then it's like a competition. Yeah. The trick is that you might be able to figure out how to use chopsticks, but then to go, no, you have to use your opposite hand.
Oh,
okay. So it's like you're learning how to use chopsticks with a candy cane, which aren't long enough anyway. So that was one of them. Another one was we took and put a cup around our waist, like with a little belt. I think we used tape or rope or something like that. Yep. And it was a little cup, and then she had plastic ornaments that you hung from the front of the cup down towards about your knee. And you had to gyrate your hips and push this or flip this ornament into the cup.
Okay.
we got 70-year-olds doing this game, right? So it was just hilarious, just craziness. I mean, she had a whole bunch of different ones, like she would put tea lights all in a row, and then put a different drink at each tea light, and you'd stand at one end of it and blow as many in the row as you could, and wherever you stopped or couldn't blow out the next light, you drank whatever was next to that tea light.
Nice. Good drinking game. Never heard of that one before. That's good stuff.
It's kind of fun. I mean, all kinds of stuff like that. So today topic, right? If you're new to the show, you haven't listened to us before, and you're like going, well, what the hell is this? Just two guys talking about sandwiches and beer.
We'll get to business.
Yeah. It's really the 3 B's, right? We got the 3 B's. It's kind of the topic of the show. It's business, beer, and bullshit. That's kind of what we do. And you just got a little bit of beer and bullshit. So let's get to business.
Yeah, well, it just depends on the week, right? We're kind of like a bit holiday time here, so I don't know. Business isn't top of mind as much as last week or next week, I think.
Yeah, we're a little loose right now, a little loose, right? So, anyway, as I was looking through it, I ran across Sun Tzu, which I was always kind of a fan of his. It's just kind of interesting some of the things
Yeah.
that were produced, by him.
Mhm.
And the one that struck me today was, in the midst of chaos, there is also opportunity. So that's what we're going to be discussing.
Interesting.
How does that apply? Because think about it, some of the biggest disruptors to industry, are them coming up with an opportunity out of chaos, or
Yeah.
something that's not quite organized.
Yeah. So, man, I remember reading The Art of War probably like 20 years ago when I started my first business. You got to read The Art of War. And it was really interesting, except that it'd be more interesting now because I think you can apply so much of these things that at the time I read and went, oh, okay. But now like even this feels really, really interesting. And it's everything about business is about solving a problem. And so when you really think about it, chaos is probably like a really big problem for whatever that is. There's some chaotic experience, whether it's in, running your business or in retail or getting things delivered or whatever the problem is, that makes it sound like a big one. And anytime you have a big problem, you have a big opportunity.
Yeah. So, I mean, chaos is a weird thing because I think even chaos is a pattern. It's a weird thing for me. It's like going, okay, well, I mean, think about it. If you look at a leaf, just one leaf, it looks like there's order there, right? Like it's one leaf. And then you put the leaf on a tree and you can kind of see some order that comes about from that. And then you raise yourself up above the trees to a forest and it looks like chaos, right?
Yeah.
But, and I think that's why mathematics are always considered the key to unlocking the secrets of the world, right? Is that mathematics create order in chaos. And then that's way off topic for what we're doing, but I'm saying it to say that I think even chaos has order in and of itself.
I was when we got married like 26 years ago, we just had our 26th anniversary last week. My wife and I went on a cruise and we met a guy on the cruise ship who was in the military. And it was funny because he was in intelligence. And so, of course, every one we saw, who's that guy? Like we just ribbing him all the time. But I still remember him talking about, because I just couldn't relate to him so much. And he was saying, man, like when you get into a mall, everyone should be walking down like one side in a row and the other side in a row. And it's all because it's chaos. Like and this is why you mentioned it. I'm like, that's what popped into mind. And I remember saying to him, like, it's not. It's just it's such there's so much, like every single person has a place they need to go. So it's actually, it looks like chaos. Everybody has a purpose. They're all doing something. Even if they're just hanging out, they're doing something. And so it's actually like a higher level, and trying to bring order to that breaks it because you break all the efficiencies that you have, right?
That's right. Yeah, that's so interesting that you did. I hadn't thought about that way, but you're right. Everything has a purpose. Right, regardless of what it is. I probably, even if you look at my neighbor's garage, it's all messy. There's an order that he understands.
Yeah,
there's a purpose for everything that they have placed. I know exactly where it is, so I can get to it fast because I know where it is. I put it there, even though to me it looks like it's just like, oh, that's ridiculous. I wouldn't be able to live in that.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's like my wife and I'm turning into an old German, so I kind of like things, like shelves are all tidy and neat. And I remember one time we were getting ready to go out somewhere, and she had an earring in her hand, and she said, "Can you go grab my other earring?" So, well, yeah, where is it? She goes, "Well, it's in the garage on top of the fridge." Okay.
Yeah.
Somehow that made perfect sense.
Why?
I didn't even ask. Like, okay, it's a different,
I'm
different way of organizing things, but it worked.
You knew exactly where it was, though.
Exactly. I'm like, all right, let's do it.
But so I've been watching that show. It's on Netflix now. I think it's Netflix or Apple TV. Well, I think it's Apple TV, called The Mosquito Coast, right? And it's kind of a remake of like the Harrison Ford
one, yeah.
Yes, but part of it, there's a subline about chaos. That in this version, the protagonist, the main character, has
no spoilers.
Oh yeah, that's true. Well, I'm gonna tell you what he does though.
Yeah,
he's built an analytical model that discovers patterns in data.
yes,
right? That's really what he does. I mean, and he's using it to, and this has nothing to do with the whole storyline, but he's using it to predict flight patterns and stuff of birds, right? So he can, so he's trying to figure out and be able to determine, the habits of birds. Well, of course, the government has, look, we can do all kinds of stuff with this, right? So they're going to extrapolate and expand upon his predictive modeling and use it for, really predictions about, it's almost like, remember the Tom Cruise movie? What was
Minority Report?
Right?
Yeah.
Where it's like almost predictive, like we think you're going to commit this crime at this date because of all these things from desperate sources lined up to say, yeah, that's most likely going to happen.
Yeah.
That's kind of what the premise of what he did, but that's not the story. That's just kind of what he did.
It's a good series. We're just a couple, like we're into season 2, but we're not that far into season 2. So it's just like, but yeah, like the basic premise is really interesting. Yeah.
So he makes a statement to his son, right? When he's explaining this thing to him, he makes a statement to his son, and his son goes, well, sometimes I just do shit just to do shit. Don't think about it.
Yeah.
And the dad goes, that's because that's part of your pattern. Chaos is part of your pattern. that occasionally you do weird shit.
Yep. Yeah.
You just make a random decision. So even the randomness of chaos is predictable. That's weird.
Yeah.
It's his theory anyway.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? That's like humans are wired for pattern recognition. That's just what you do all day, every day. With what you hear something and you try and slot it in with past experience. You see something, it's all pattern recognition. And so when something appears really chaotic, it's human nature to try and bring some sort of understanding or order to it. And that's where opportunity is, because a lot of times you can't. It's overwhelming, but maybe a system kind of like that can help bring some sort of order to it. And honestly, that's what we do at Dry Run all the time. Like, you've got all this data and we pull it in and we put it into some sort of order and we do some predictions, but then we let people massage and wrap their head around their data. Again, it's just opportunity, right?
What's funny is that conversations like this will make people question, and this, I'm gonna go way off in left field, that we're actually in a computer simulation. That we are actually the simulation. Yeah.
The old Matrix argument. Yeah, no, there's and it seems to keep, it doesn't seem to be a philosophy that goes away. It seems to keep popping up more and more that we're part of a simulation. Yeah.
Well, I think because it's mathematically, that's the way things line up. It's the environment we live in closely parallels, and probably because we made it, the things that we can do with the computer. Right?
Yeah.
And they seem to discount that the computer really behaves the way we told it to behave.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like it's that frame of understanding. Because you see a lot of the things that have been invented now, or we're on Star Trek. Like, how many times have they shown things that were on Star Trek? Well, now it's been invented. Is it because the people that invented Star Trek were just like amazing at predicting the future, or was it partly that it gave people the idea to actually build it? I think it's kind of this middle ground in between where the ideas meet and the execution meets.
What's funny about Star Trek is that, okay, so it's got to be in the 70s now, right? I might have been 5, 6, 7. But remember they had the communicator that came out where you could flip it open. It's almost like a flip phone. but there was a face on the inside, and that face scared me as a kid because it was like, I don't know if it was a Klingon or if it was another, I don't know who it was, but I'm like, I don't want to open it.
Yeah, it was like Luke Skywalker or something.
No, that's Star Wars.
I'm just
don't be that guy. I mean,
I'm just poking you.
Fun of us on the internet.
I'm just no, I'm just having fun with you. I know Star Trek. I know I'm a total Star Wars nerd, so I'm just having fun with you.
Yeah, but I think it came in a set, like the set photons or whatever. There was a little gun that looked like the one Captain Kirk used, and then there was this communicator, right?
Yep.
And that was part of the play set. And I remember just like going, I don't really like the communicator. Open it. It was like the scary looking dude, on the inside. But that's the closest I can come to. I think in the future we'll be able to do this maybe. And now we're doing FaceTime, right? And we're not doing flip phones anymore because this is a better design.
Yeah. It's that's an interesting thing about like how quickly, like to sort of figure out how to deal with chaos, but then how quickly things have advanced. Like both you and I were 3 channels, black and white TV. I'm thinking and then got to color TV. And then last week we were out on a bike ride on the weekend, and I had my cell phone attached to my handlebars, and I had my my GPS running so I could see where we were going, and it automatically plotted where we were going and showed traffic and everything. And then I flipped over to the hockey game. Yeah. And when I look at that, I'm like, Star Trek wasn't even close to that. Star Wars, especially when Star Wars like had line art on their computers, like it was so. And then you look and go like, yeah, I have actually like full HD. And arguably, I could pedal beside a car and sling the hockey game in full HD over to a TV in the car. Like stuff. Technically, you could do that. Hey, you want to watch the game? Here you go. Just drive slow, and I'll pedal beside you. It's amazing how far. Like it's gone way past a lot of the stuff on Star Trek, right? Because I don't think people could even imagine how far it goes. Like it's that first idea, but then it starts to get momentum. And once it gets momentum, man, it just evolves so quickly.
Yeah, that's just so crazy. I mean, the way these things have evolved. What do you think right now? What do you consider chaos in your world? Like, what do you think is chaos that you said this needs order? There's an opportunity here.
Well, I just made the comments about Bill, who was on the boat with us, and how he wanted order in the shopping mall. And I'm like, no, it's totally blah, blah, blah. But I'll tell you, try going into a Costco on the weekend.
Yeah.
Suddenly, bring some order. Let's get, let's start. I don't want people running into me with their carts anymore. That's why I don't go to Costco on a weekend, like unless I'm absolutely desperate, because it's awful. But
you know what would make Costco better, right? Because I think there's too many choke points, right? If you could combine the Amazon Go store with Costco, meaning I walk in, I got my card, it's already connected, we'll say, to a credit card. Everything I put in the basket and walk through the door with, I get charged for it. Right? That's how the Amazon goes. There's no interaction with staff. It's, I want it, I buy it, I go in and put it in the basket, and I walk out with it.
Yeah.
And everything that goes through the RFID reader, all of a sudden racks up. It
makes perfect sense for Costco because they have people trying to count at the door.
Yeah,
they wouldn't need to.
They could do it. RFID could count, and then what you could do is random inspections, or if somebody tried to do an RFID blocker or something like that, you have people still at the door say, "Hey, wait a second, we didn't get you." Right?
Yeah.
It didn't count. You know what I mean? It would alert you somehow. So the opportunity there is, let's speed up Costco where it's more like it's easy in, easy out, and I think they'll even get more throughput. Because there have been times where I've driven into Costco's parking lot and go, "Oh, fuck this."
Oh, I've done that so many times. Yeah,
I'm not going in there today.
Yeah, it's amazing that how often chaos seems to come with crowds. That's as soon as you say what's chaotic, it's like I can picture, being at the football game and there's a crowd, and then at the mall it's a crowd. And it's like it's when it's really crowded, that's when things feel really chaotic to me, right?
But you just blew my mind because now I'm like going, well, maybe it's not. Maybe
Feels
because
chaotic, but it really isn't. Yeah.
because you don't understand the other parts.
Yeah.
Each part's acting independently.
Yes. So true chaos is, there isn't, I don't know if there's not an underlying order, but like really bad weather. Like you can see, okay, here, chaos. All of these airports that have been closed over the last few days up in Canada, and like because I keep hearing from people, I'm stuck at the airport, and I'm like my co-founder flew out the other day to go back to Vancouver, and what should be an hour and a half flight, and I think it was like it seemed like about 12 hours till he was like, yeah, I finally got home last night at midnight or whatever. That's what breeds chaos, because it's all out of control. It's out of people's control, and they don't, that's outside of the purpose, right?
Yeah. So I saw a lady being interviewed today. She created a business out of opportunity, and it was a weird opportunity to me. I'm going, no kidding. We have to have a business for that now.
Yeah.
She is a phone coach.
Oh my God.
I guess there is a new phobia about phones, being able to talk on the phone, be able to pick it up and call somebody and talk to them on the phone. There's a phobia that's happening among what they call Gen Z. I'm going to assume that's just people younger than me. X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
So when you think about it, like when she's like a therapist almost, or role plays or whatever she does, because employers are hiring her at like $450 an hour to train employees to overcome a fear of the phone. It's like they never talk on the phone, they text or whatever. And now all of a sudden they get to their first job and there's this big black box on the desk. It's like, what the hell's that for? What do you see one of those on TV? Right. So it's like her whole job now is just training young people to overcome their fear of talking to somebody they can't see, and can't text.
That just sounds so bizarre to me. I think we've got something that I think is weirder than the pet rock. I think phone coach is now
super weird to me.
That's
right?
the weirdest one. Yeah.
That's a business now. That's really a business. I mean, is that opportunity out of chaos? Well, maybe so. Maybe employers like me were like going, "What do you mean you ain't gonna pick up the phone? I mean, dude, we're in the sales business. You got to talk. You got to pick up that phone and talk to somebody." And kids are like going, "No, dude, I'm not doing that." So there's like, you've seen it with salespeople. It's call aversion. You're like, oh yeah, they're averse to actually making a phone call, a cold call.
Yeah.
And there's another side of the argument that says, well, maybe we shouldn't even have to make phone calls anymore.
Yeah. Well, I think it just gets replaced. You have to talk with someone, and it gets replaced with Zoom probably. So like here, it's different when we can see each other.
Right? This is the same thing. It'd be like me and you back in 1985 or 88, picking up the phone, talking to each other.
Yeah. Have you seen that video online? This is a couple of years ago, I think, where I think it was a dad telling his two, I don't know, teenage sons something like, I'll give you, I don't remember exactly what it was. Basically, I'll give you $10 if you can phone like your grandma or whatever. And he gives them a phone number, but it's a rotary phone. And you see these two guys and they're looking at it and they're discussing it, and they seem like really sharp kids, but they had no clue how to dial that rotary phone. They lost. They never got, like, I think it was 3 minutes. Had no idea. They tried all kinds of stuff. Couldn't do it.
It's funny. If you really think about the rotary phone, it was ingenious. Just the distance away from center, I guess, being 0.
Yeah.
I remember what number you were trying to call. I mean, it was kind of ingenious that way. And then they went to the touch tone phone, which was just a different tone.
Yeah. Boop, beep, boop, boop, boop. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was really modern at one time. Yeah.
You know what? There's probably still people out there that would use a rotary phone, but can't find them.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think it'd be kind of fun. Like I still have like, I got so much digital stuff around me. I still love like got the record player and my watches analog. I still love analog. Like it's something simple and nostalgic and comforting about having something that's just does one purpose and does it well. And but on the other hand, I could ask my phone to like I could be driving down. The other day I wanted to know what time this record shop was open. And I had left and I'm like, oh man, I wonder if they're open. So I just asked my phone, hey, what are the hours for Vinyl Record Dude? It just told me. That is amazing.
Yeah.
But I still like analog. I like simple too.
All right. All right. So normally in this part of the show, we'd have a sponsor. And what we're going to do until we find our next sponsor is we're going to have our two companies sponsor. All right, we're going to have Dry Run. All right, so some of our episodes or half the episodes right now will be Dry Run. The other ones will be Cash Flow Mike, which is my coaching consulting company. And I just want to tell people that. So what you'll be expecting in the future around the halfway mark is that either Blaine will talk just a little bit about Dry Run, or I'll talk about, the Clear Path to Cash, which is my training program. And have you got an elevator pitch? You got something that you can just say in one time and I'll do it?
You go this week, honestly, because we've actually done a lot with Dry Run in the past. Let's kick you off because I know you've got some courses coming up, and man, let's get people in there.
It's it's really exciting thing, right? So I'm known as Cash Flow Mike, and what I do is I help business owners, increase the amount of cash that they put in their pocket from their business. I've found over $150 million in hidden cash. I have a course called the Clear Path to Cash, which is 8 different steps to increasing, the amount of cash that comes into your pocket in any given business situation. So different ways. I mean, I've got a new subscription service I'm rolling out next week. So if you can't afford a coach and you feel stuck, there's a way for you to get in that's going to be really economical. If you want free resources, I got 2 different places. Go get my 7-minute conversation book right off cashflowmike.com. or join my free Facebook group, the Clear Path to Cash, Finding Hidden Cash. Either one of those, lots of free stuff. Get involved. I want you to trust, and then you can buy.
Yeah. Perfect. And I know, because we both deal with cash flow and projections and finance for businesses. And I know how important it is. Like when you say Clear Path to Cash, it's that hidden cash. I still remember after I started getting really disciplined with cash flow and sales projections in my first business in my agency days, there was a day where I sat there and in my mind, I realized how much money I've left on the table in the last 3 or 4 years because I wasn't tracking it like I was at, now. There was, you're looking and going, man, that's easily 6 figures, maybe getting higher than, of cash that we just left on the table just in the last 2-3 years. Like that is a realization that you don't want to do. And so when, go check out, it's cashflowmike.com, correct?
Cashflowmike.com.
Check out cashflowmike.com. Go check it out. There's you're gonna learn, and boy, it'll pay dividends because I guarantee you there's a lot of cash in your business that's seeping out the bottom that shouldn't be.
Yeah, right on. So hey, thanks. So anyway, speaking of, think about that. I'm just now again, taking this on full time. I've never done coaching consulting full time. I've always done it as kind of a side gig or as part of another company. So this is kind of an exciting time for me. I appreciate you letting me talk about it a little bit.
And you know what, circling all the way back to our topic here, there's opportunity in that chaos, and the chaos is what business owners are facing in their business that is leaking money, right back to the old art of war here.
What's funny is for the first time, you got to remember, I started building, financial software in 2012, and we built cash flow tool in 17, 18. Now, starting today, and maybe it was the pandemic or whatever, but now today, more people are talking about cash flow and focusing in on it than ever before. I've never heard accountants or bankers well, bankers always have, but
Yeah.
or business owners talking about it and worrying about it as much as they do now.
Yeah, and it's this weird unsteadiness that we've had for a few years. Again, it's right back to the chaos that we've experienced for the last few years. The problem is it's not going away. Now they're talking recession. Now we're talking inflation, and there's all of these things that businesses have to deal with. And I know we've been there. We've been been in business 20 some years, like 25 years now. There's scary moments, and so much of it comes down to cash flow. So much of it comes down to understanding what your sales pipeline looks like, what is going to come in and turn into money. It is a difficult time, but there are ways to improve your chances, improve your management, and give yourself a better chance of not just making it through, but growing through this.
Yeah. All right. So here's something interesting about like chaos, opportunity and chaos. My neighbor across the street and I are both got projects going on right now, contractors. And, there's a lot of order in the way things got to be done. And, when you're doing construction from, the actual, starting the process, planning it, executing it, things have to be done in a certain order. But I always feel like it's the people that run these projects are somewhat off in their timing. And I don't know how it happens. But, it starts with the pool people with me. But then I'm like going, it seems like there's always slightly off on timing, or I'll see people just come for like a couple hours one day and a couple hours the next day. And what I think happens is while they're trying to grow, they're taking on too many jobs that their capacity can't keep up with. Right. So this, instead of just finishing the job, making a customer happy, now I'm trying to make 3 or 4 customers happy at the same time without hiring. So I spend a couple hours at your place, a couple hours at another guy, and you're like, oh, they saw me today, so it should be happy.
Yeah, and capacity is something we haven't talked a lot about on the show, but man, like I remember that was always something that was top of mind for me, and because the worst thing is when you have staff sitting idle, you're paying them, they're not generating any money. You need that money coming in, you need that cash coming in, and the profit is disappearing out the bottom. Right. And then conversely, you get swamped because usually it's peaks and valleys. Right. And you get swamped, and now everybody's overwhelmed, and now you're paying overtime, paying contractors to make up for that. And that also pulls out money right out of your profit. Your profit's going right out the bottom again. And so there's this middle ground, and it was always this challenge to figure out where you're most effective, you're getting enough billable hours, but you're not creeping into overtime, you're not creeping into, and boy, it's challenging. And if you hit that just right on your capacity, you can make a lot more money, right? And that's how, we talk, I don't go back to dry run, we talk about dry run is the way that we would do that is you're looking at your sales pipeline, looking at the cash coming in, and it helps you judge what's happening in your capacity. Because you can see that either way, it's like almost bringing chaos into your business, especially when you're overloaded. It sounds like a good thing, but man, you end up eating up your profit margin, and you can lose money and have a ton of revenue.
Yeah. So, I mean, in the hotel staffing business, I had that same thing, right? Which was, you didn't want to lose people, but you gotta be able to balance their hours and get them more work. The other thing was taking on new jobs, which means a new hotel calls me up, and they generally don't want to give me 2 weeks to go find their staff, right? They're like, no, if you want to be my provider, you got till tomorrow to get me 10 people, right? So I used to have 3 people. It wouldn't be 10 people all the time, but it'd be like 3 people. I used to have my supervisors for an area saying, you need to have 10 people in your back pocket ready to go to work tomorrow. Yeah. Because I might call you up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon on a Tuesday and say, I need 3 people at, the Marriott, the JW Marriott tomorrow morning at 7. Right? Yeah. You got to already have their paperwork filled out. You got to have them ready to go and say, listen, I'm going to call you tonight, the night before, and tell you I got a job for you. But I mean, so it was always recruiting, but that's the only way I can keep up with capacity is actually have people waiting in the wings or know that somebody wasn't scheduled, because I had kind of a hybrid model, and I could take 2 or 3 people that weren't on the schedule at another hotel and push them to a new job.
Yeah.
They always had to have that.
And that's a challenge, right? It's such a challenge for you. You need it, but then it's hard to have for those people to sit idle, not knowing if they're going to get work. And so it reminds me of, going into that sort of idea of chaos is that sort of butterfly theory where it's like, a little butterfly flaps its wings and then it has a little effect over here and it starts to grow into bigger and bigger effects all the way down the pipeline. It's like a snowball that just keeps getting bigger and bigger as it rolls down the hill.
Well, and this was the time, early 2000s. There wasn't automation in phones. We were dealing with Excel spreadsheets, keeping time sheets and calculations with Excel at that point in time. So it's like they had to have either their laptop where they could pull this open and know who was available, or have it on a piece of paper in their pocket at all times.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like here's tomorrow's schedule. Who's not working, so I can call them if I need them.
Like I'm just thinking about this idea, like this sort of art of war approach to looking at chaos. And what I'm curious is this is the way I picture it, is that when you're looking for opportunity in chaos, it feels to me like the bird's eye view. So you're looking down on all this chaos and you say, okay, this is all happening here. Here's the seam, here's the opportunity. And it feels like you have to be elevated above it to see it. I'm curious if that's the way you see it, or if you think that opportunity is just chaos and you're right in the crowd and there's an opportunity right in that center of the chaos. So that's just how I picture it, is that looking from above on the hill and going, okay, here's where we have opportunity.
I actually think we agree on that, because I don't know that you even notice it's chaos if it's in front of you.
Yeah. And I think it'd be hard to see opportunity there. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm walking, we'll use your mall example. If you and I are walking and maybe you're like 2 steps ahead of me, but we're kind of doing the same thing, and some other people are kind of going by me the other way, I don't really realize the actual chaos that's happening around me.
Yeah.
Right. I have to stop somewhere and look and go, oh crap, there's a lot going on here. But if I'm part of the chaos, I don't know that I don't know that I can see it.
Yeah, no, I think you can't. Exactly. You have to see the bigger picture. I think that's what it feels like. I do have a trick I figured out when I was a lot younger, and try this sometime when you're in a crowd, like a crowd at a stadium or an event or something. And, you're trying to, you're walking against the crowd and there's all these people coming at you and it's really hard to get through. One time in a stadium, I stumbled across a tactic that seems to work really well. You don't make eye contact. So what you do is walk straight into the crowd, but look off to the side. And what you realize when you walk through a crowd is everyone's looking at everybody's eyes, and then you're juggling through. And as soon as they don't have eye contact, they do anything to not get run into. And I swear, a path will open up for you, and you can just march right through the middle as long as you're just looking off to the side. They just it's like just partying the way, right? It's quite amazing.
So what I thought was a lack of social awareness or spatial awareness is actually a tactic deployed by Blaine Birch.
I will tell you, I remember as a youth or like a teenager where I walking through a crowd at the stadium after a football game and just honestly blown away, because it is just, I'm basically walking full speed and it's just everyone's moving out of the way. Now, it's not a tactic I would probably employ now, because it's kind of an asshole tactic. I didn't think of that at the time. I was just stumbled across it and went, hey, this works. I just walk full speed through the most crowded space because everyone just gets out of the way. It's some kind of social experiment or psychological experiment or something, I guess.
See, I always think people are selfish when they do that. I'm like, why aren't you looking out for other people? Why do I got to move around you?
Oh, no, that's what I'm saying. I don't even think I would employ it now, because it is an asshole move. I didn't realize it was an asshole move when I was that young. I was like, hey, this works. Just, but man, if you're ever in a crowd and you're in a rush and it's I just go along with the crowd now, but hey, if you're ever in a rush, you got this tactic in your back pocket.
You know what the difference is with me anymore is I'm not in a hurry to do anything anymore.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. I'm like,
And I used to be
yep.
like going, it used to make me mad. I'm like, hey, why do I got to be around all these people? Why are they going so slow? Why aren't they paying attention?
Yep.
And now I'm like, so I'm part of the problem now.
I'm exactly. I'm the same way. Like I never seem to be in a rush. And you know, if I'm at a place where it's a crowd, I'm more likely to go like, let's just go grab a beer and sit in our seats and wait till it empties out. Like perfect.
Easy. I always do that. Like after a game, especially, I'm not getting in the line of people waiting to get out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sit in the parking lot, drink another beer, just wait.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I'm not leaving the game with 5 minutes left tie game to see if I can get to the parking lot faster than the next guy. That always boggles my mind.
If you do that at Texas A&M, right? They will call you I think it's a 2%er. They'll yell at you. You're leaving. Maybe you have some A&M gear on.
Yeah.
And the rest of the crowd will start calling you a 2%er as you leave and just harassing you because you're like going, you're not a true A&M fan if you don't stay to the end. Only 2% leave.
Question for you. Where is TCU? I think it's TCU.
Fort Worth, Texas.
Fort Worth, Texas. Okay. So they're in the Fiesta Bowl.
Texas Christian University. Oh, they're down there in Phoenix right now?
Yeah, because we were just riding our bikes. I know it's off topic here, but
they almost made the playoffs. Or no, they did
I didn't even know who they were. Well, but except that but there was 5 or 6 full buses painted up with the team logo, Fiesta Bowl logo, and then I saw like a 6th one parked somewhere else, and I'm like, holy cow, that is a monumental sized effort.
Dude, you got like an F1 team going to go on down there, right? It's Michigan TCU. That's one of the playoff games. That's a big game. That's there's only 4 teams that make it.
Yeah. So when is that game? Now that I see all the buses, I might have to watch it.
What day is that? Looking up here. Fiesta Bowl is of course it tells me anything but. I guess I have Google. So have you ever seen that website? Let me Google that for you. I think that's the name of it. Let me Google. Is it really?
I think it's let me Google that for you.com or something. And it literally is just Google. But it says people, because it's like, Google it yourself kind of, which you could have told me.
And, I guess it's tonight.
Oh, well, man, maybe they were on their way to the stadium tonight, like they were, because this is earlier this afternoon. So I was just curious because I saw these buses. I'm like, wow, that looks amazing. What are all these purple buses that look all so fancy and everything, and logos everywhere? And I'm like, oh, Fiesta Bowl, cool.
All right, so so TCU plays Michigan tonight. Don't they play that in the baseball stadium?
Well, I thought they would play in the football stadium but that's in Glendale. That's way far away. So I hope they were driving all the way over there. They'll be there on the highway all day to get there. So it seems like they would be in the football stadium, but maybe they're on their way there.
No, State Farm Stadium in Glendale.
Yeah, so that's football stadium. So they were probably heading over to the highway to make their way over.
Okay, so Baylor played Boise State a few years back, and Shane, my best friend, and I went there. But they played the Fiesta Bowl in where the Diamondbacks play. They converted the baseball field into a football that game. No idea. Yeah, I don't know why, but it was played right there, which was actually kind of cool because there was all these cool bars and all this really nice area around the stadium. Yeah, it was played on the baseball field.
Oh, that's bizarre. Well, but we are in Phoenix where the NHL team is playing in a college rink right now, so you never know. Weird. Okay, I guess we're a little off topic here, but that's the usual for us. So,
well, I'll tell you what. Final thoughts.
Well, I think the probably one of our last comments I think is one of the most interesting ones is there's opportunity in chaos, but you have to go bird's eye view. You have to pull out and look at what the chaos, what's actually happening from, 30,000 feet, and try and look at what you can do within that to fix it, rather than right down on the ground floor. That's my feeling, is it helps to get a bigger picture of the overall impact.
Well, I think that's where, like data comes in, right? Where that's why we take so many stats on how many people come in the door, how many, what the value of the shopping cart is. I mean, all these different things, because you're saying, well, is it really chaos, or is it just like one person getting pissed? Right? Because Costco might have this thing figured out, and we're just like going, I don't like the experience. But that's not necessarily chaos. It's probably very well organized and orchestrated to perfection.
Yeah, there's some way that they're making money off of that. And maybe it's the case that if you check out too fast, maybe you buy less stuff. Maybe that's what it is.
I can believe that. I think that's why they have those queue lines sometimes, right? And put all the impact,
all the stuff,
impulse shopping stuff. So, hey, speaking of impulse shopping, you can go to www.mikeandblaine.com and get your gear, right? You can get you a t-shirt, you can buy us a beer, you can, even send us a note saying, I want you guys to talk about this because I need answers on that, whatever that is. I mean, you fill in the blanks, but we're more than willing to have a topic of discussion and, help you out in your business.
And you can even listen to other episodes if you want, but make sure, if you're listening to us on your favorite podcasting network, I don't know what to call them, network service, you're a Spotify, Apple Podcast, make sure you follow us there. Make sure you like us. If you're on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. Maybe subscribe and all those. I don't know if it's all the same word in all the networks. Make sure you follow us, subscribe, do whatever, so that you get the next episode as it comes out, because we do these every week, even like 2 days before New Year's Eve. We're doing this for you.
That's right. And we're going to do it next week, right after New Year's.
Right after New Year's, 72. Yeah, the big 7-2.
72. All right. Hey, another good one in the books. I appreciate your time, Mr. Birch. And we'll see you next week.